the intelligence report, and you certainly have the opportunity and the staff to look at that information and assess, the kind of time that she has spent in Congress, and the kind of time, and Hillary Clinton was on the, uh, the Commission for Defense in the Senate. Certainly, they had things available to them that could have made them say, this is kind of contradicting some things that I know, but they didn't, because it was politically expedient. And I guess my question, Steph, is: are you as incensed at the Democrats as you are at the Republicans for this? Now, I'll be honest with you. I'll give you my point of view. I hate fucking politicians. I don't like any of them. Honestly, I think they need to stay out of our fucking lives. I don't think what I do in my bedroom is any of their fucking business. I don't think that what a businessman decides to have a smoking or non-smoking section is none of their goddamn business. I think the market should dictate those things. I think the government needs to get the fuck out of our lives, every way. Even with gay marriage, I don't really understand that issue. I mean, gay marriage, there should be no marriage in government. The government's got no place dictating a contract between two individuals. Marriage shouldn't even be in government. If two people want to enter into a legal contract, then those two people should sit down with their two lawyers, or one lawyer, or no lawyers, and decide what it is they want to agree that partnership is going to be about. The government's got no place in that. The only time the government should have a place in that is if those two people have a conflict in that contract, and what you would hope to be an apparently objective person, or jury, can decide whether the sides have a point. That's the government's job. The government's job is to resolve conflicts between people, not decide how people live their lives or morally. The second point I kind of want to make about it is that I find it very interesting that people that are fairly anti-religious, not even anti-religious, but don't believe that religion should be taught in science class, like creationism, which I agree with completely. But they're the same group of people that deny that men are animals, not just men, but when I say man, mankind, humankind, that want to say that humankind is somehow above that, when we're not. We're animals too. We compete. Literally through our genetics, through our code, through the chemicals that course through our body. Aggression and testosterone are not just highly correlative; they're causative. There's causation between high levels of testosterone and aggression. So therefore, to deny the fact that war is part of who we are, and that competing for territory and competing for natural resources is literally how we have evolved as this group of mammals. And we're not higher mammals, and we don't reign above everything, and it doesn't make us better than the rest of life, or even the rock that's sitting in your backyard, Steph. Is that what confuses me is the group of people that sit on the left that don't believe religion has any part in government or any part in the classroom at all, at the same time want to deny that somehow humans are not animals and we don't compete. So technically, isn't killing people part of that, survival of the fittest? Isn't speciation have to do with all of that? Certainly it does. So it's illogical. I find that a lot of times your arguments are emotive and illogical, and not in a bad way. I just think they're intellectually dishonest. And what I'm asking from you is are you, just as you feel that you have the right to live your lifestyle however you want, do you feel that so does everyone else? And if you feel that it's okay for the government to impose laws and rights on everybody else based on anything, based on sexual preference or how big you are, or whether you want to smoke or not or whatever, do you think that it's the government's job to get involved in that as well? Because these are all personal choices. It doesn't matter whether it's to be fundamentally religious or to be gay or to be anything. These are personal choices. Should the government be involved in that at all? I don't think so. And I just feel that way. And second of all, is it wrong for a country to be self-interested? There are a lot of people in America that are just like, oh, this war is horrible, we've killed. And it's very dishonest to say that we've killed 650,000 people. That's not an honest assertion. It's also not an honest assertion to make it sound as if we're killing more people than people were dying in Iraq before. That's very dishonest as well. And it's dishonest to say, and I'm not saying 650,000 people haven't died. They have. Natural death was probably more than half of that. Was the war the cause of quite a bit of it? Yes, but that's sectarian. The Shias are all mad at each other because they all want to have power as the majority, and this, then you have foreign Sunnis coming in and killing people. Some people call them Al Qaeda, and then there's Islamic Brotherhoods involved there too, and I'm sure they're getting financial support from the Saudis, no doubt. So the Saudis are involved in a lot of that killing of the Egyptians and the Jordanians, because they're certainly Sunni power bases, autonomous groups as well. So, and then you have the Syrians, which is which is Shia based, and then you have the Shias over in Persia, that are definitely doing that. I just find that you're being emotive because maybe you don't like George Bush for other reasons that have to do with this war. But if it has to do with this war, you really need to ask yourself, why did they wait until an election year did the Democrats have a problem with this war? And the question is because they wanted to stay in power, and it makes them no better. In fact, maybe even a little worse, that they would hang a bunch of young men and women that are fighting for what they think is this country out to dry. And it's not their policy. It's not the soldiers' policy. It's not the Marines' policy. It's not the Navy's policy. It's not the Air Force's policy. It's the policy of not just this administration, but also our legislature. Our legislature, the overwhelming majority, 99%, is pretty overwhelming. So if you're going to be angry, don't just jump on Bush. I think you should jump on everybody. And getting back to Gary's point was, Gary was talking about intellectual honesty. Gary was talking about people being emotive based on loyalties to a political party. I think it's silly. And that's what Rosie does. She's obviously blindly partisan. And to defend that blind partisanship is against everything that this country was made for. So that's my point of view. Stop following, start leading.